Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Pisces December 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, Clairvoyant. Well, this month we have a very intriguing deck for you to contemplate and to look at. It's all full of medieval imagery. Sometimes that imagery includes things like, they're paintings, but it includes things like chopping people's heads off or impaling them on stakes. Nothing is going to be too confronting, I can assure you, because it's art. It's not photographs of real things like that. But I do know this, is that these are very good at throwing up the messages that will enable you to deal with the cosmic energy around you in such a way that you can bring about emotional fulfillment and success. Now, you do know that I provide clairvoyant readings to people from all over the world over FaceTime and Skype. At the end of the video, the details are in the description. I charge for those, and they go for about an hour and a half, sometimes more. There's another gift which I provide as a service and that I do not charge for. It's free, and that's the gift of healing. It's free because that's the basis upon which it was given to me. I can get nothing in return for it. There's no obligation. There's no expectation. You're not going to be sold or talked into anything. Now, if it's calling out to you, make use of it. The details are in the description. Probably goes for about 45 minutes. And lots and lots of people from YouTube have made use of it, so join them. You're not alone. Now, let's take 5, and that will give you a good idea in what's going to bring about your management of cosmic energy to, to bring about emotional fulfillment and success. Show me the magic, would you? There's the 10 of Swords. Perfect. Here is, now that's often a card that scares people. In that position, and with the Lovers next to it, it's not at all scary. It has a great meaning to it. I suspect, but of course it depends what else is coming up, and I don't want to get ahead of myself because that will be dumb. There's a 10 of Cups, you see, so there you are. I knew it. Now here we go. There's the 8 of Swords. I told you about people getting impaled on stakes and things, didn't I? Well, there's a number of people getting just that done to them there. So, and there is the Chariot. Right. I shall bring the camera around so that you can have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together, and you're free to take from them what you want. I'll give you my take on it while I do the reading, especially for you. Now, I thought I'd just show you the back of these cards. I normally don't do that, as you know. It's just that I think that they are good quality image compared to the normal stuff that you see, which has really got nothing going for it at all. But what I do in particular like is the attribution of the zodiac signs around here in the wheel, because, as you know, we take astrology as being very important to our interpretations of the cosmic energies which are floating around, and as they are expressed as avatars, I suppose, by the cards that we see in front of us. Now, I told you that very often people freak out when they see a 10 of Swords, which you can see here. I'm not worried about that so much because of this Lovers card that I saw there. This is the Sun in Gemini, is what I'm getting. The Sun is very good for you. Gemini you get on quite well with, I think. Here is Mercury in Gemini is what I see. Mercury and Pisces have a very good relationship. This 10 of Cups is enormous amounts of love. And it's a Pisces energy that's behind it. Here is a beautiful water card, also offering you great protection, this major arcana. And over here we see your planet of Jupiter. So let's have a look and see what is going on. I think that might be Jupiter in Gemini as well. Let me have a look at it in the context of these other cards. Yeah, I think it is. It is Jupiter. And it's in the 21st, the decan of the 21st to the 31st of May. Well, Jupiter, of course, it's your ruler, but it's also the ruler of Sagittarius. And as in Sagittarius, it's, as you can see on the back here, Gemini is effectively opposed by Sagittarius, and it's in opposition. Therefore, opposition is probably the most difficult aspect in astrology, in my opinion, having looked at it for a long time. So Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini is in detriment, and you might think that your planet is weakened and your nature in Gemini might be held back or inhibited something. So Jupiter is in some ways weakened, and you might have a time when you think you can't get what you want too many, as the Gemini aspect, distractions, which may or may not be self-created. Now, Gemini as a sign, that impulse is the third impulse of the divine, creating manifestation, which deals with the explosion, the polarization of everything, of atoms, everything there. And of course, all these opposites, this explosion into duality all over the place is necessary in order to then be a subsequent attraction and reproduction and increase in life and universe in total. Now, it could be that there is for a moment here, therefore, your mind being somewhat distracted by something. This is coming on here with this 10 as well, which we'll get to. But you pass through it is what I see. You get a feeling, I think it's a worry about thinking too much about things. Maybe there's some sort of a difficulty in making a choice about something. And you feel that no matter where you turn, there really isn't a great solution that seems to exist. Now, with the greatest of respect, it seems to me that for a moment, it may well be that this energy, I think that this energy is indicating that your mental state at one point is going to kind of just immobilize you, just have you standing still. Well, the way to understand how to deal with this is to take the time needed to review what put you into the situation that you felt unsure about. And there's all sorts of ways that you know that you can do about that. But the great thing that comes from this is that this is something that you do get through, and the result is that you see life in a broader spectrum of understanding and clarity. So what I would suggest that you do is to just let things rest and develop on their own for a while, and let Jupiter, your planet, the great benefic, come in and do its fine work. Because if you're having trouble making a decision about something while this is going on, just put it off. Don't go for anything huge. Because your planet being here, this is really announcing that there is an unforeseen and unexpected change for the better coming with you, to you. And the problem which you think can't be solved now is actually going to find its own solution in its own way. I mean, I think that sometimes you can, it has to be said, and I think this is pointing to it a little bit as well, overthink things, and perhaps you have what I call analysis paralysis with your energy, like that Gemini energy scattered on endless, unproductive thoughts. Well, Jupiter will, if you get out of the way, come in and do its work, and you'll come back with new eyes. Now, it might also be the case that you might just be spending a lot of time on things which really aren't all that important to you, but you should just say this to yourself: look, I am relaxed. I, of all people, can trust life. Now, sitting above it, and unsurprisingly, given this sort of confused mental state, which I think maybe for a moment you might have about something, look, don't feel bad about it, because this is what 99.9% of the population have. Of course, people can't make their minds up about things from time to time. Don't feel bad about that. You want to get things right, don't you? You don't necessarily have all the information, but when you get the information, it's like the light goes on and boom, you know exactly what to do. Now here we have the sun again, I think in the third decan of Gemini. So there's that scattering energy that's there. Now most of the people that you might watch will tell you that the Ten of Swords is, it's all about gloom and doom. Look, I can tell you it's virtually never, ever anything like that. It's usually got something really interesting to say. I'm pretty sure it's got something interesting to say to you too. Just let me concentrate on it and get it up. But here, the sun in Gemini, Gemini disperses the sun's energy and your focus. And the focus can be entirely intellectual, which tied up with this earlier card here means you might just be running around and around and around in circles about things. But I think in particular, what is going on here is that there's some negative, because I'm seeing it in connection with this Chariot, which is talking about a turning point for you. And you've got the protection of the shell of Cancer around here is what I see. Water sign here, your sign of Pisces. Great things moving forward. So I think there's some negative thinking that's going on, but which you overcome and you move forward. Do you know, I must also say this, because it's coming up very clearly, and it's to do with all of these thoughts that are going around. It's almost as if you're working yourself into a shock by recurring, repeating thoughts. Now, it is the case that perhaps you have been working very hard to achieve something that just didn't work out, and you can kind of feel a bit down about that. But this is also a symbol for the death of old beliefs, lifestyles, or patterns. It is a symbolic death in a way that leads you into a transformation to a new and richer awareness, a new you, a confident you, standing forward, shoulders back, chest out. Now, you know that the path that has brought you to where you have got to today has been difficult, but I think what you do now is you really make your mind up to say that there is no turning back and I am going to move on. Now, this is saying, I think, as a way of understanding it, that you just have to take the necessary steps to shift any, unhelpful thinking to what the real truth of a situation is, bringing it to an end so that your healing and rebirth can occur. Do you know, I'll also say this about negative thoughts about here. Don't take it personally, because virtually everybody has negative thoughts. The thing is, though, that believing in negative thoughts is the single greatest hurdle to success in your life. And of course, you'll have people out there that go, just cheer yourself up, think happy thoughts and everything like that. Do you know what? This is saying, yeah, that's all very interesting, but really the key to happiness, or that even more desired thing, I think, for you, calmness, doesn't actually always lie in just thinking happy thoughts, does it? And thinking happy thoughts all the time is just impossible. No mind on earth with any kind of intelligence could spend a lifetime just popping out happy thoughts. It just doesn't work like that, does it? The key for you here is in accepting your thoughts, all of them, even the bad ones. Accept the thoughts. Say, I understand that you are there, but I reject you and you don't belong to me. Don't become them. understand that, for instance, that having a sad thought, even having a whole bunch of sad thoughts, one after the other, well, that's not the same thing as being a sad person, you know? Now, on this issue of, it's coming up here on negative thoughts, so I think we want to talk, I'm just getting something here about moving on with things, probably as a result of getting rid of negative thoughts. You know, there are so many people who will tell you that you can't do this or you can't do that, but you have to make sure that your voice is not one of those people. The most powerful words that you'll ever hear in your life are the words that you tell yourself, because your subconscious mind says, well, if you're saying it, it must be true, and it will make sure. It thinks that if what you're telling it, it thinks that is what you want to have happen. Do you know, I think you must also agree with me that you can spend minutes, hours, days, weeks, or even months overanalyzing a situation, can't you? Trying to put the pieces together, justifying what could have or would have happened. Or you can just get on. Leave it. It's dead. It's buried. It's in the cemetery. You know, there's a letting go with things here for you now, and letting go means coming to the realization that some things or some people are part of your history, but they are not part of your destiny. Do you know, it happens to everybody as we grow up. You find out who you are and what you want, and then you realize that people that you may have known forever don't see things the way that you do. So you keep the wonderful memories, but find yourself moving on. But this is saying here that you must make the decision, because this 8 is about decision and power. You must make a decision that you are going to move on. It doesn't happen automatically. You have to rise up and say, I don't care how hard this is. I don't care how disappointed I might be. I'm not going to let this get the best of me. I'm moving on with my life. Because remember that letting go doesn't mean that you don't care about anybody anymore. It's just realizing that the only person that you really have any control over is yourself. And I don't have to remind you, do I, that this is not a dress rehearsal, this life. This is it. There will be a final curtain call when it will be finished. It's not a rehearsal. Live life. And then we go to another aspect of Gemini energy. It's like you're the Gemini whisperer. You feel that Gemini energy is pouring into you, just as well that you can get on with it. Here's the lovers. A couple of things are happening here I'm getting. The first thing I see here is that there is love, attraction, approaching people. There's a great connection here. Now that Gemini has duality, as I think I mentioned, and I can see a union of opposites through love, and also of you becoming conscious of yourself through relationship. I also see choices to be made here. Falling in love, perhaps. There could well be a commitment, an engagement. But I do think there's a big decision to be made as well. And there's a need for you to look at all angles before you make a decision. And look for harmony in relationships. There is possibly here the need to make a major life choice on the direction ahead of you. Now, it may not seem that way at the time, but you look back here and you go, it's true. And I also get here a real energy of a mutual sexual attraction, whether or not you act upon it. And if you do act upon it, because this is a major, I don't think that this is going to be a short-term thing. I think it's something which is going to go the distance. But the messages coming through here are, as I foreshadowed, very much about harmony here, because although this is, to me, speaking of committed, strong, romantic relationship, that will continue growing and probably spiritually expanding to a deeper understanding of your inner self, that of your partner, and your relationships with the outer world. This is something that's going to wake up your free will to make choices in life that now support your heart's evolution and also act in accordance with your spiritual path. This is really asking you, are there choices that you make in relationships coming from a balanced place? And if not, what are the opposing aspects within yourself, and how do they affect your external life? You see, any internal struggles going on, this Gemini thing, duality, internal duality struggles going on, it can create negativity that can project outwardly. So address anything, become comfortable with your shadow self, accept yourself as you are, the good and the bad. There's nothing else you can do. Now, as I say, you also have the great... Actually, this is 6 and 7 in a row. This is interesting, isn't it? Major Arcana. This is your great protector. This water, the primary cardinal sign of water, Cancer. Cancer symbolized by the crab that has the shell outside of it, doesn't it? Do you know, in a way, spiritually, you see, the sign of Cancer is that the crab stays very close to the water on the shore. It sort of wanders around on the rocks and the sand, and then darts back into the water, which is spirit. So it's trying out manifestation, if you like, and protecting itself. Now this is, following this 10 of Swords here, speaking to you, and it's also following this Lovers, of a new beginning and a change for the good. There's a triumph in the face of adversity here. Look at this fellow. He's defeating all the enemies by bashing them with this thing here. You're going to overcome problems, and do you know what? I think the success that you have is coming with little or no support. There's love and abundance and success here for you. And I think, as I say, victory over adversity. I think you might have come through something of a bit of a difficult period, but you now are overcoming it, and you have the courage to act, which is what you need. It's all very good having the intention to act, but you've got to have the courage to do the action. And you know what's more important? This is saying that you now have success over previous negative patterns. I think there's something of a focus on self-discipline here, where you recognize those negative patterns and say, you don't belong with me anymore. But you will be moving towards higher ground, higher goals, while, like the crab, still being quite protective of yourself. There's a new start going on here where you leave behind the boring routine of daily life, and you find that inspiration and ideas tumble in front of you, and you expand the areas of your activity. And I think you're in a position now to really successfully take on a lot of different activities. And this variety is going to stimulate you. But despite all the bustle of what's going on, your highest goals will not be forgotten here. You see, the oncoming change promises to lead to a positive phase in your life. So ready yourself, put your affairs in order, and examine the possibilities, because I think you're going to leave a lot behind. Now, ask yourself this: what area of your life will be changing, and are you ready to get rid of the old and bring in the new? And for you, what you might consider doing is looking for or creating for yourself a loving, secure environment, There you can plan the change or a journey that you're doing. I have to say, I think your body needs some attention at the moment as well. But say this to yourself, because it's definitely true. I motivate other people positively. I am responsible for what I cause. I accomplish things well and with ease. And I am putting my life in order and preparing for the new beginning. And that takes us finally, I think, to... oh, here's the central energy, you see. Look at this. Now, this is Mars in your sign of Pisces here. Mars in the third decan of Pisces. Now, you might think that Mars, which, well, you know, arguably, I suppose it must be said that it can be disruptive, that it might come into your life and conflict with peaceful, gentle you. Well, that's not what's happening here. Mars is coming in to bring you great strength. Now, it's interesting, I think, that you see Mars in the third decan of your signs. You know that each sign it takes up 30 degrees. And each sign's 30 degrees is made up of 3 segments of 10 degrees. 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. First decan, second decan, third decan. Here's Mars in the third decan here. The decan that comes after that is not Pisces. It's the first decan of Aries. And Aries, first decan, 0 degrees Aries, is the beginning of the zodiac year. And so Mars is the ruler of that first decan. Now that is because, and why I think that this is good is that Mars in your third decan, bringing energy, then has energy, adds to the energy of Mars in the first thing of Aries to push the zodiac year forward. So you really are doing your bit to make sure that the whole show stays open and the tickets can continue to be sold. Great satisfaction, fulfillment radiating from you here. This really is one of the best energies that there is in manifestation. There's a wealth on all levels here, material, emotional, spiritual, and mental. And the way to understand this is about self-love and finding your inner grail of fulfillment. And this brings great gratitude for all things in life. You feel now as though you are kind of returning to your true home, and the benefit that this energy is bringing, in a nutshell, is happiness and fulfillment. What's happening is that now that success and good fortune have found you, this energy brings a celebration of the goodness and that love that you have been blessed with. This is also bringing, I think, strong family ties and friendships. Romantic relationships deepen. I think you've learned how acts of love can heal and fulfill, haven't you? You are the best in the business at that. And you also understand how misguided love can deeply wound and hurt. But I think this is the time when you should be feeling blessed with well-being. It's the perfect work in some respect, a sense of prosperity and living with your true values. And this is the time when really you should be saying to yourself that life gives me all that I need to be happy. What a fantastic spread of cards. Made so much better for you being here. Well, I told you that was very interesting art, didn't I? And didn't you find it fascinating? I love that period in history. It's one of my favorite sections of history, I think. All around the world, or at least in Europe and the Middle East. And now, Of course, unless I see you privately for a clairvoyant reading or for a healing, then I'll see you here again next month. And until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.